On today's show, Apple's right to repair Bombshell, how the MacBook Air will be revealed, Pro Mac Minis, double SoC price bumps, Apple displays, and of course our episode sponsor, privateinternetaccess.com/iCaveDave for 4 months free service. Details at the end. I'm iCaveDave and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you, and if you want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours every weekday at 12 UTC, like the video, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. Basically, there is no news topic that needs talking about as much as Apple, all of a sudden, without warning, has dropped the right to repair bomb, allowing the public to get access to replacement parts, tools and manuals to repair the most common issues with their devices. So it begins with the iPhone 12 and 13 models, presumably in all sizes, and the replacements that are available are for displays, the camera modules and the batteries, the most common failures for these devices, with plans to extend the program into the Apple Silicon Mac series in the near future. And I can't help thinking that these devices have been designed with repair in mind. This is perhaps best demonstrated with the new MacBook Pros. There are now only 2 different screw sizes to remove the base plate, and those screws themselves are actually collared, so if you over tighten them they don't damage the boards underneath or anything like that. The batteries feature pull strips that allow them to be safely removed from the device when you need to replace them, so that you're not trying to pry the things out. That's why I don't think this is a last minute decision starting with the iPhone 12 and 13. It suggests that those phones have potentially also been built with this repairability in mind. Have there been concessions made in the design process that specifically has this in mind? I mean, there are a few things that are yet to be seen. Will repairing the iPhones affect their water resistance? Or, more accurately, how much will repairing your iPhone yourself ruin the water resistance? But it's also been made clear that the process will not be for everyone. So, if you don't know what a pentalobe screw is, just take it to the Apple Store. While you will be able to do the repairs in terms of manuals, parts and tools, you'll probably want to have done some stuff like this before if you want any hope of it going well. For example, I've been replacing iPhone and iPad displays since the iPhone 4, rarely for my own devices. I've only ever managed to actually break one iPhone display. It was the 7 Plus, and that one I took to Apple to repair because the home button Touch ID sensor is like solid state. But I've done multiple iPhone 5s, iPhone 5Ss, 5Cs, 5SEs, new batteries in these things, new displays, replaced back panels on the iPhone 4s, which were actually kind of easy. But more than anything else, iPad mini and iPad, especially the ones with the separate digitizers from the display, i.e. the non-laminated displays, because those are the ones that my kids use, and yeah, they've been broken a few times. Are they simple to replace? No. There's probably around about 30 different screw sizes to replace one. You have to heat it up to get through the glue, all that sort of stuff. You have to remove the interference shield, and then there are rows of magnets around the edges that attach the smart cases and covers to them, and those magnets constantly try to steal the screws that you're trying to put in a millimetre away from them. So my thoughts are that Apple has hopefully made the process easier for those included devices, at least to begin with. I'm also sceptical that the pricing on these parts will be what is considered reasonable by most people, and it might well be that the broken, damaged or defective part that you basically need to return to Apple after the repair will carry a large deposit. I guess that's the best term for it. The replacement part might not be much cheaper than a new device, but when you get the rebate for the old part being returned to account for this, that will kind of make it worthwhile. Now, the reason that Apple does this is so that people aren't just buying a whole bunch of displays to set up a little shop doing it, and doing it that way, or potentially buying up all the parts that they can and building their own iPhones, which I guess you could do if everything becomes available. I mean, I'd love to be wrong about this part about the deposits, but we haven't seen the pricing yet, and I would be surprised if Apple offers very reasonable pricing up front. And finally, and probably the most disturbing part of all of this, Apple, what on earth is this artwork you're using in the press release? Maybe they're trying to make it look fun or approachable, but maybe it refers back to something else that Apple's done in the past, but I can't see it, and it just seems super confusing to me. It doesn't seem on brand for Apple at all. Am I alone in this? Let me know down in the comments. And speaking of the community stuff, we did speak very briefly about Patreon yesterday. We had a question come up in iCave Answers about whether I would do one or not, and I was reluctant because I don't want this to become like a 2-tier thing where some people get access to other stuff, but there's a few things that have come up. So potentially doing ad-free versions of these videos that go into Patreon, potentially them being uploaded to Patreon immediately and available straight away so that people aren't waiting for the 12 o'clock premiere, which in a lot of cases, it ain't going to be up much earlier, but sometimes it might be up like 6 hours early. You know, is that going to be worth it for some people? Maybe. The other thing we talked about is maybe doing like an exclusive t-shirt drop that is only for Patreon members or something like that. So there is definitely some thoughts of doing some stuff, and there might be people that just want to give something back to the channel. And if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. I'm definitely going to look into this a little bit more in detail, see what the process is, and yeah, I'll keep you up to date. If we do it, maybe we'll launch it with the live stream on Saturday. Don't forget to set your reminder for that. It's all set up and ready to go. We're ranking everything Apple has ever made. It's been a while since Ted's been on the channel. Say hi, Ted.
Hi.
Look over there. Say hello.
Hello.
Right, I'm going to finish making my video and then I'll come and make some Lego with you. But let's get into your iCave answers. First one, Sweela Mac asks, iCave answers, do you think that Apple will ever do an envelope reveal again for a MacBook Air, or would that be sacrilegious to the fan base of Steve's legacy, even if tastefully done? No, I actually do think this is a really cool thing. I think it is the sort of thing that Apple would do these days, because they are harking back a lot to the stuff that they've done in the past. Even whether they just reference it, or whether they actually bring the new one out of an envelope. I mean, it's not a massive reveal anymore in terms of there's a lot of laptops that are thin enough to do that, but at the same time, it would still, like, people that know would know, and that'd be cool. So yeah, I think that Apple could well do that when they launch the new MacBook Air. Giant Man Tech asks, iCave answers, the redesigned Mac Mini never came at October's event as expected. Do you think this delay is because it's actually getting the M1 Max Duo chip? I'm gonna say it's not gonna get that to begin with, certainly not. I don't think they're going to make a Mac Mini that's more powerful than the MacBook Pro. That's my honest opinion. I don't think that they will do that. But I do think that it is going to get the M1 Max and the M1 Pro, and I think it's purely a case of the engineering that had to go into it. Maybe there was some sort of chip shortages, maybe it was just purely production capacity, because we know that they've had to move certain lines away from other products, like the iPad, for example, in order to support iPhone production, because obviously if iPhone runs out, then Apple's in a lot more trouble than they are if other stuff runs out. Now, I think that that is probably the reason that the Mac Mini has been delayed, because they probably just shifted production capacity on the lines that would have been making Mac Minis over to making iPhones, because get your iPhones out, they're going to make you a lot more money than a Mac Mini will. Dante Burritar asks, iCave answers, 27-inch iMac, assuming the same starting base price and config as the new 16-inch MacBook Pro, and assuming the same upgrade pricing for cores, RAM, storage as the 27-inch iMac, would be the same price. So $4,099 for a 64 gig, 10-core, 32-core M1 Max. How much extra do you think it will cost to upgrade to an additional Max chip, so 128, 2064? I'm going to say lots and lots. I would say that probably around about $1,000 of the pricing is going to be what is actually going into everything apart from cores and apart from SoCs and stuff like that. So let's knock it down to, let's say, probably $3,000 extra if you want to have a dual M1 Max as opposed to a single M1 Max. I think about $3,000 is probably right. Lars Anderson asks, iCave answers, what is your latest thoughts and rumours on a possible new cinema display? So actually, we've not had any more information about them in the very recent past. It's been probably, I don't know, before the MacBook Pro event, certainly, possibly before the iPhone event. So I think it's been sort of late August since we've heard anything. What we did hear, though, is that it's likely to use the same panel as the larger iMac when that arrives. It's likely to have an A13 inside for power management and running those backlights to make sure that everything is kept in sync, and probably to take a little bit of pressure off of whatever else was inside there in order to just make everything run a little bit smoother. Now, I don't think that A13 is going to add any processing power. I think it's purely going to be just optimizing the display itself. So I think we're looking at least a 5K display, possibly a 6K display, definitely mini LED backlight, so an XDR level display, and a better XDR experience probably than the 32-inch Pro Display XDR, because it's going to have at least 2,500 dimming zones, I would guess, as opposed to the 512 that you get in the Pro Display XDR. And that's the way that I think it's gonna go. Today's sponsor is Private Internet Access, the world's most transparent VPN provider, with over 30 million downloads. It's a simple to use VPN that works with your Mac, iPhone, iPad, and even those PC things and Android phones, routing all of your traffic through a secured tunnel to hide your IP address and keep what you're doing private. And let's be honest, if you're watching this video, you're probably using the devices you are because you value your privacy. Private Internet Access hides your network data from everyone, from your internet service provider or network administrator to government censors. And it's the most customizable on the market, letting you set custom rules for different websites and offering no bandwidth restrictions or speed throttling, so you can stream, upload, and download to your heart's content privately. And my favourite part is that it's 100% open source, so if you're one of those clever people who knows what you're actually looking at, it's easy to verify that everything is above board from the open GitHub repositories. No user data is stored, and PIA's no-log policy has been proven in court multiple times. So get your 3-year subscription with 4 extra months absolutely free for only $1.98 a month. That's 83% off only by visiting privateinternetaccess.com/iCaveDave, as this offer is exclusive for you guys and it's risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support. So why wait? So just to kind of tie back to the right to repair stuff that we were talking about earlier, I've had a couple of packages come through. These are from companies that make those lovely breakdown frames where they kind of explode out all the parts and put them on a nice background in a nice frame to put on your wall. So there is a kind of second part of the studio tour that's going to be coming. We've also got a monitor light that's come over from BenQ. We've got some other bits and bobs that are going into this studio. Hopefully you're going to get that done in the next day or so that it's ready for the weekend for that live stream. Don't forget to set your reminder for the live stream, ranking every Apple product that's ever been done. It's going to be pretty awesome. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching this show, guys. Don't forget to set your reminders for the live stream on Saturday. It's provisionally 3 PM. That's when we're planning. Might change, but if you set the reminder, you will get notified of the change too. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you in the next one.